Welcome back to another Purpose Serve podcast episode. I'm your host, Darryl Wingfield. Today I want to start off this podcast by talking about changes and how important change is and how beneficial it can be when you apply the necessary changes that you need. I always bring up on this podcast talking to Rick, and like I always say, how much I learned from Rick in the conversations that we had in the past. And one of the most pivotal conversations that I had with him was us talking about change. And the one thing that he made me realize was that change is instant and it doesn't happen over a long period of time. Now, he taught me that over a long period of time, that is the constant, that is not the change. And for me, it was very thought-provoking because I never even looked at change like that, you know. And also, when I thought about change, it always was, to me personally, I don't know about y'all, but this is like from my personal experience, that I always use change in, like, I guess it's always was like in a negative way. Like, for example, I always associated change with, I gotta change myself, I gotta do this to get better, which involves like change or like whatever. But like, he taught me that change is extremely instant. Like, when you decide that you want to take a different course in your life, or like pretty much anything, and that thought process alone makes that change instantaneously happen. Now, it's up to you to make that change a constant. And you can make that change a constant by honestly just making it a behavior. And as of late, with this path that I guess I'm on, you know, this whole entire thing, by the way, on a side note, is honestly turning into its own thing. Like, this podcast at first, you know, I had my plans for what I thought it was going to be, but now I just find myself just like, you know, there's another thing I say on here, that I'm starting to just give in to whatever this is, and wherever it's leading me to. That was the change for me, I guess, making my first podcast. And the constant has been me just keep doing, you know, podcast episodes and delivering into you guys like pretty much every week. You know, I try my hardest to do that, but you know, sometimes it get hard. But I'm remaining consistent through it all. But yeah, back on change. Now, when we were having these conversations, I just was thinking about, you know, my life and how change actually helped me, and how the constant after change that helped me as well, which is like discipline. You know, if you have your mind set on doing something and you want to change the circumstances that you in, it honestly, it starts with a thought pattern, and it starts with how you plan on going about it. And once you take action towards, you know, that plan and going about it, that's the change happening. Now, in order for that behavior to set in, you have to be consistent with that behavior. And that's probably, I guess, like the hardest thing to do. And in order for you to achieve anything of any noteworthy success, you have to be disciplined. Ain't no getting around that, you know. And that scares a lot of people, is that discipline. But I'm gonna let you guys know right now that due to the fact that time goes by, no matter what, you're going to be either doing something or you're not going to be doing something. So why not incorporate that behavior that you're trying to learn, or make that change right now in this present moment? Because I can't stress this enough, how now is the most important time more than ever. And for me, I've felt so much pressure, I would want to say within this last year, of wanting to make something of myself and feeling like I waste so much time with BS and with life, and looking to just I would want to say not being focused on what I wanted to do, but in the back of my head, like everything that I'm doing now was like in the back of my head. But I'm sitting here doing this now, but this was once an idea, and I didn't even know how to go about it. I didn't know where to start, but little did I know that just starting to do anything, like, you know, getting your ideas out to other people, and that can just start that constant, but you have to be disciplined with that behavior. Now, let me tell you guys, which I already did probably in the very, very first podcast, on how Purpose Served even came about. Last summer, this is probably around like August, Sean Mills, who I had on the earlier podcast episode, was the person that enlightened me and showed me, you know, how much I was actually capable of, and he believed in me. And no matter what ideas that I had, that was like the first person that I ever talked to who made it seem like the things that I wanted to do was impossible. And it wasn't like, no, you shouldn't do this, you should try to do it this way or anything. No matter what, he was extremely, you know, receptive, and he guided me, you know, throughout this whole process. Now, all the ideas that I had in my head, I had a chance to finally get it outside my head and to the real world. And from doing that alone, it felt like I made a huge step. And talking to Sean and getting him my ideas out there, like my thing when I started this, my brand, and that led on to this podcast, was I wanted to inspire people, you know, through my journey. And ultimately it was coming from a place where I didn't want people to feel like how I felt when I was going and chasing my dreams, where it was some moments where I felt like chasing my dreams felt like I was going towards an inevitable doom, in a way where I felt as though there was a strong, like, limited belief that I was going to fail and I was going to fall flat on my face. But with that feeling, I don't know why, and I'm still here trying to figure this out, you know, what made me keep pressing on, you know. And I guess that's the part of the constant that I was just talking about, and the consistency. But from talking to Sean, he started, you know, getting my mind going towards taking action with getting things done, and letting me know that, yo, what you're trying to do is possible. And, you know, that support system and the tools and resources that he was able to help me with ultimately let me down to this point. And communication is key. The worst thing that you can do, and this is something that I realized for a long time, is to sit there and keep all your thoughts and the feelings that you have inside. For me, like, personally, when I did that, and I did that for such a long time, that's a side of, I'll say, my alter ego that I had to put to rest. I call him Euphoric Daryl. This is me when I did everything to try to feel good, and I put myself in situations to feel good, you know. And I talked about this previously, when I would do God knows what just to feel good, because I was ultimately, like I was saying, talking about Euphoric Daryl, but a lot of the behaviors that I started to build up was coming from a place of me feeling like I was alone, and I wasn't able to talk to anybody, and nobody would understand like what I'm going through. And it's funny that our human experience could make us feel like we're alone, but just me saying this out loud, I know for a fact that anybody that's watching and listening, at some given point, anybody that's listening, you was at this point, you know, where you felt as though you were alone, and you couldn't get your thoughts out there. You couldn't convey how you was truly feeling about the situation that you in. But you need an outlet. You need somebody to tell that to. And that's why I tell y'all, if you feeling this type of way, you know, I'm not a hard person to get in contact with, you know. And also, I'm a great listener. And that's ultimately why I'm doing this, because you're not alone. It's multiple. It's a part of the human experience. And with that being said, you might as well find some way, shape, or form to get that out there, because once you move past that, you start to realize slowly but surely what you're actually capable of, and the circumstances that you can get yourself out of, that you put yourself in the first place. It all starts with being accountable first about where you are and being honest about where you are. Now, for me, that was a hard thing to do. I've always been kind of a self-aware person, but it was mostly, I paid attention more to when things go wrong rather than when things go right. And once I made that switch, God honest truth, it was like night and day, and the more I started holding on to who the person that I truly felt and believed that I was, the more I started, walking down this path that I'm currently on right now and talking to you guys. And I want you guys to truly understand that you're just like me. We're all just like each other. And you can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. I may sound like a broken record, but I guess that's the point. Until it actually seep through. And I would love for you guys to just keep challenging yourselves every week and go towards that thing that scares you, but it's going to make you a better person. I recently just watched a video made by this guy named Dylan Freed. Now, he makes these basketball brain videos just talking about mindsets. And recently, he made a video about, my guy, the late, great Kobe Bryant. And the premises of it was talking about how people why they're afraid of greatness, why they fear greatness. And it resonated with me a lot in a way where he pretty much was saying that people admire greatness so much that they fear it, because it's in a way where whatever that person did to get to where they at, it's coming from a place where I don't think I'm willing to go as far as this person to be as good as whatever this person is doing. And Kobe Bryant was ideally that person where I guess you would look at him and just say like, dag, like he went all in with his dream and aspirations and who he truly felt that he was trying to be. And I was so inspired by that, and I was so moved by that eventually that I started turning into that person naturally. And earlier today, I had a conversation with my brother, and I told him like pretty much what I just told you guys. And it almost brought me to tears of like what he said. And he was just like, pretty much how you look at Kobe Bryant is how I look at you. And for me, that's a huge motivator. It's a huge motivator, for me to just keep pressing on. And if I'm having, I guess, that same sort of impact in you guys' lives that's listening, I promise you, you can do the same exact thing. You just have to trust yourself. You just have to just make that change, which whatever it is. And for me, the number one thing that I would say to make a change is writing things down. Start writing things down. Believe it or not, that's implementing the action without you even knowing it. Now, if you keep all this stuff bottled up in your head, you're not going to know how to go about it. Things can be confusing at times. But when you start writing down your ideas and keep writing them down, it's crazy how fine-tuned that they get. Like, I'm not even going to lie. I'm like the journaling god. Like, I try to write down all the ideas that I have. If I'm feeling a type of way about a certain situation, I get it all out there. I try not to hold on to any excessive energy that I don't need, that feels like a burden. I try to get that all off. And I think that with everybody nowadays, we're walking around with so much burden on our shoulders because of it comes a lot with life and the pressures of life, and the pressure of what I want to do, what I want to be, especially if you're young, and that's okay. It's only natural that you go through that, but it's highly, highly important, and it's very critical because at some given point, you're going to reach a point where you're going to have to make a decision and stand 10 toes down on the type of person that you ideally see yourself. You can't wait. There's no even point of waiting. You just make that decision. And like I said, change is instant, but the constant is the behavior. And that's not easy, and that involves discipline. But if you start writing these things down, start writing down what's the first steps to start taking towards ideally what you want to be and ideally what brings you fulfillment. It may be scary, but show courage. Show courage in the face of that fear, that face of adversity. I've been so set on the type of person that I have been for so long that what honestly, personally for me made things tougher was, like, for example, my mind state of making basketball being a way out for me, even though I didn't have nothing to show for it, was that resolve in me that I didn't let the outside world dictate me changing that at all. And during that process, to be quite honest, I lost a lot. I lost pretty much everything multiple times for me believing in myself and believing in my dreams. And I failed multiple times, believing in myself and believing in my dreams. Getting cut from teams, certain situations with my basketball situations not working out. But all in all, through thick and thin, things just started, making sense, and things just started clicking. And that's because I kept being disciplined. I knew where I wanted to be, and I just kept taking action towards it. But the change had already happened, but the constant was my behavior, which ultimately, which I keep saying, is leading to where I'm at now, and I'm truly blessed that I get to share this information with you guys, and even share some of my personal experiences with you guys with my life and how I came about discovering my purpose and me being the person that I am. And I hope that this information, not even information, the things that I'm telling y'all and the stories that I tell y'all, is it's relatable. Because if it is relatable, then you have a lot more, capabilities than what you think. And don't let anyone tell you that, you can't do something. Yet again, I'm going to be a broken record. I ain't even going to lie. But these are things that I set in my brain so hard that I literally look at the world in a different lens, and I'm reaping the benefits of it, as I keep going. And ultimately, it's leading me down a different path than what I expected. And it's honestly because of the people that I'm starting to meet on this journey and the impact that they are having on. Also, what I also appreciate about this journey as of late is the support that I have been receiving as of late, and the people that constantly listen, which I have to give a shout out to you guys for showing so much support. Like, you guys don't understand how much it means to me that you guys actually like what you're listening to and the information, I guess, that's being presented. It motivates me to keep going. For example, shout out to Joanna. She's been on this podcast journey since the beginning. People like that, I really, really, really appreciate the support, and it means so much to me, and that's the main reason why I gotta keep going. I want to leave an impact on you guys' lives, just like I said, the other people that's been on the podcast that left an impact on my life. I just got to pay it forward. This is a little short, brief podcast, but this is one of those things where I had to get a little bit like off my chest and the things that was going on in my head. This was like a little mini therapy session for me, to be quite honest. It may not seem like it, but that's what it was for me. For you guys that's out there listening, serve your purpose. Love you guys and thank you for the support. And you guys have a good one.